Hi folks, welcome to Why Did My Lovely Trials Ariel Seize Up Part 3 video. Now I had a lot of views on Part 1 and 2 and some fantastic comments, and you'll remember that the dilemma I left at the end of video 2 was I found all the top end problems, shall I just build it up and use it? But with all the disasters I'd come across, it really was quite worrying. Should I actually strip the whole thing down? And so many comments on my videos, thank you so much. The vast majority were pull the whole thing down. So if you look behind you, behind me, you can see that's exactly what I've done. Now it was several months ago I stripped this thing and I knew I would struggle to get everything together. I've been so busy with all kinds of things this year. But it is best to do it that way. I have pulled it apart and I'll show you what I've found so far. While it was on the workbench ready to be examined and looked at in depth, I did note a big pile of oil, you can't see it, appearing underneath, and the gearbox, Berman gearbox, was leaking. It was coming past the seal. It's a common thing, the sprocket seal, so that had to be done. I've got all the seals, took the old one out, I haven't put a new one in yet. That was something needed doing. The engine is on my bench, I'll talk about it in a minute. Front wheel's missing. Now you may think, what's that got to do with the engine seizing up? The brake on this was rubbish, absolutely rubbish, and people with similar brakes on their Ariels told me, well, it shouldn't be, it should work better than that. And I stripped the front end down, the front wheel down, I hadn't actually done that before, and everything was adjusted correctly, the wear was uniform on the shoes. However, the actual hub was really badly rusted at some time in the past. It was epoxy coated and looked beautiful, but actually inside the brake surfaces where the shoes went, it was just deeply pockmarked. There was lines all over it where the rust had been, and the actual contact surface between the shoes and the hub was really, I reckon, 50% of what it should have been. There was that much in there. I mean, it weren't that deep, all these pits and marks and lines, but it was just reduced the surface. So the front wheel's away being skimmed. I'm having it skimmed with the rim on because that's the best way of doing it, because it stays uniform, end of the spokes will pull it a bit. That's been skimmed. I'm having some very good modern lining fitted, a bit like on my BSA, which does the job very well indeed. So that's the front brake fixed. Well, on the way of being fixed, I'll pick that up this week. Gearbox, like I've said. The clutch was all fine. There was no real problems that end. So it's just the engine, the bottom end, the crank and the cases. And I'm finally getting around to pulling it apart today and tomorrow. I'll just show you the engine on my bench. So I've got this nice stand. Obviously the engine's got to come out back to split the casings apart, but it was very useful for, you know, getting the oil pump off, checking around the other side, checking everything over. And there's nothing horrendous I've found yet. Crank sounds okay turning over most of the time. No horrendous bodges or bits of metal, you know, missing or anything ground out. It actually looks quite good. So I'll have the engine apart and I'll be checking the big ends and the mains and seeing how it all is. I'll probably put new mains in anyway, just because what the heck, it's here. But whether I get the crank rebuilt or not, I don't know. I'll have a little look. It feels okay from the top end. Occasionally it feels a little bit noisy, but I'm not sure if I was doing loads of carpentry in my garage. I'm not sure a bit of sawdust got in, but I'll give it a good clean, a good wash out and see how it goes. So the job for the next few days is pull this apart, have a little look, decide what to do with the crank, and then get the rebuild going. It's probably going to take me a while to rebuild it all, because I've got other stuff on, but at least we're progressing. Well, I've got the cases apart. I haven't got the crank out yet. I'm about to do that. Here's one of the cases. You can see quite clearly on there. There's a lot of this strange brown stuff that looks rather like rust on the inside of the bearing. It is rust. The actual bearing feels nice. Do I replace it? I don't think I need to, but I'll decide that later on. There's two bearings in there, for those who know these, with a spacer in between. So I'll have a good investigate of that later on. And now I'm just going to try and get the crank out. I've undone it's a left-hand thread, by the way, if you're pulling off the crank end gear. And now I'm going to use this puller to try and pull this off. Okay, so here goes. They're just loose behind there, the two ends of a puller, and it shouldn't be that tight. It's just got a keyway, so it should, famous last words, pull off. Yeah, here we go. Here it comes. That's nice. So that's the job done with the puller. There's a Woodruff key in the crank end, so I have to watch I don't lose that. Yeah, nice. Well, crank's out now, and as you can see, here's the crank, and I'm going to have a little examine of the big end and have a feel of that. Feels... I'll see, I'll give it a clean. Now, this case, unlike the other one, is a bit more of a worry, because if you look carefully, you'll see this bearing here, can you see, is standing proud. When I pulled the crank out, that came with it. Well, it shouldn't do, it should be a tight fit in the casing. There's clear evidence, not sure you can see the back of the bearing here, of where it's been chattering in the casing, so that's probably loose. Well, it is loose, so that's going to need, it's very loose when the engine warms up, that's going to need sealing properly or some kind of fix on that. Not sure what state of the bearing is yet. Oh, bearing feels nice, but shouldn't be moving like that. But worryingly, I'm not sure if this is new or old, but I suspect it's old. Look at the markings here on the actual casing where the crank has been going straight across it, wearing it out. So the crank's moving, obviously, from side to side, or something's moving. Not sure if they're old marks, but I am now going to have to investigate this and see what it needs doing. So I've taken the bearing out of the casing here, one slight tap and it fell out. And if you look at the casing here, I think you can see it, you see clear evidence the crankshaft has been through there. Obviously I've pointed out there already, I think. And that bearing's obviously had it, well, the casing's had it. Here's the crank. And, well, I don't know, got some work to do here. Well, for all those who said strip your engine down, you don't know what you find in the bottom, you're right, it's a good job I did. I was hoping to do a video of checking it all being lovely, and putting it back together again. Clearly not. So that's the end of this video for a bit. It's a bit short, I know, but it's an update in my series of why did my Trials Ariel split. It's not quite as disastrous as the top end, hopefully. But I'm now going to get all this work done, and I'll do a video then of me putting it all back together when all the everything's sorted out in the bottom end. So if you've enjoyed it, you know what to do, folks. Click like, subscribe if you don't already, and if you hit the little bell icon, then you'll know when my next video is up, telling you my Ariel is complete, well, ready to be put together again. See you later, folks. Bye.